In the village of Obwama, where the soil was red like spilled blood and the trees whispered old names in the wind, a boy was born during a night that history itself refused to forget. The moon turned the color of rust, the sacred shrine drums began to beat themselves, and the river behind the village flowed backward for 7 heartbeats. It was said that the ancestors had come to witness the birth of a child not of this world. His mother, Neka, delivered him alone in her clay-walled hut, her hands shaking as she wrapped him in a piece of white cloth stained with blood and sorrow. Her husband, Obis, had vanished 5 moons before, swallowed by the Ogu forest, a place forbidden, feared, and whispered about only when the wind was loud enough to carry the guilt away. No one knew why he entered the forest. No one dared to go after him. They said he had been summoned by the gods to pay for a sin no one remembered. Others whispered he was searching for power. Power that came with a price too high for a man to return. But Neka never spoke of it. She kept her grief like a locked calabash, hidden and heavy. When the midwife asked what to name the child, Neka answered with a voice hollow and brave, Echezona. Do not forget. As a baby, Echezona did not cry like other children. He stared too deeply, held silence like an old man, and refused food whenever the sky was angry. Animals lingered near him. Goats, cats, birds, even a wounded vulture once slept at his feet and flew away healed the next morning. By the time he was 5, strange things began to happen. He would wake from sleep shouting names no one had spoken in decades. He pointed to places where buried bones lay. He knew when rain would fall before clouds gathered. And once, after drawing in the sand with his finger, an elder gasped in horror. He had unknowingly written the forbidden script of the ancient priest. Fear is a seed that grows quickly when watered with ignorance. People began to avoid him. Mothers clutched their children when he passed. The village priest declared him an echo from the spirit world. Even his classmates stopped calling his name. But Neka, with her quiet strength, shielded him as best she could. She often said, "Your gift is not evil. It is just heavier than most hearts can carry." Echezona clung to her words until the night they came. They came with fire, with fear, and with blame. It was the night one of the elders died in his sleep, mouth full of ash, eyes wide with terror. They accused Echezona. He had been seen earlier, talking alone by the elder's compound, murmuring as if to a spirit. The chief called a secret council. And before dawn, torches were lit. Neka hid her son beneath the bed and told him not to cry. When the flames reached the attached roof, she opened the back wall and pushed him out into the night. Her final words to him were calm and sharp. Go to the forest. Go where your father went. If the earth ever shakes again, return. That will be the time. Then she turned to face the fire. She never came out. Echezona ran, barefoot, heartbroken, and empty, into the forest that had taken his father. The Ogu forest was not made for humans. The trees moved when they were not washed. The wind spoke in riddles. But the forest did not swallow him. It embraced him. He found shelter inside the hollow of a tree whose roots hummed with power. He drank from vines, ate fruits that healed, and dreamed things that hadn't yet happened. He met a woman with skin like bark and eyes like coals. Her name was Mirioma. She was not alive, not dead. She told him he had entered the place between worlds, the place where forgotten truth slept. She taught him to listen to the earth, to speak to rivers, and to walk without leaving footprints. She told him he was not cursed. He was chosen. A vessel. Your father, she said, paid the debt that the village owed. He offered himself for their survival. He was never weak. He was the first to remember. You are the last. Years passed. Echezona became part of the forest. He no longer feared the dark. He no longer needed language. His eyes saw beyond skin. His ears heard beneath silence. Then one night, the ground shook. Not thunder. Not wind. The ground itself trembled. Trees bent. Birds screamed. And the rivers moaned. He opened his eyes. It was time. Echezona returned to Obuoma without noise. He walked into the village barefoot, wrapped in the bark of a sacred tree, his skin painted with ash and chalk. He carried a staff carved with old symbols and a calabash filled with silence. The people barely recognized him. But something inside them remembered. The chief, now old and blind, began to weep without knowing why. Children ran. Elders held their breath. Echezona stood in the square, the place where they had set his mother on fire. He drove his staff into the ground, and the earth split with a scream. From the crack, mist rose, followed by shadows. The dead came, not to harm, but to remind. Spirits of those betrayed, murdered, lied to, silenced, they surrounded the villagers and began to speak. Names poured like blood from old wounds. Secrets were exposed. A man confessed to poisoning his brother during a festival. A woman admitted she'd buried her newborn alive in the forest during famine. A priest wept as the spirit of a girl he assaulted called out her story for all to hear. The village howled with sorrow. And when it was done, Echezona spoke one sentence. You buried memory beneath your feet, but memory grew roots. He turned to the sacred tree and poured the silence from his calabash onto the soil. Then he vanished. They never saw him again. But Obuoma was never the same. They built a shrine at the center of the village, carved with every name once forgotten, every injustice once denied. Every year, they gather to speak the names aloud, so that no truth sleeps too long. And over the shrine, in bold iron letters, a single word is etched. Echezona. Do not forget.